Welcome to the Essential Self-Care Podcast, where we talk about all things self-care for those of us who are, let's face it, too busy for self-care. It's time to bring that same compassion that you offer to everyone else in your life to yourself as well. In this podcast, you'll hear real-life stories of how self-care transformed people's lives as they were going through life's storms. You'll learn practical, actionable tools to begin the self-care journey yourself as well. Because like I always say, small changes make a large impact. I'm your host, Dr. Sheetal Ajmani. I'm a physician, best-selling author, and the founder of Radiant Living Institute, where I guide strong, successful women to get unstuck and learn to live radiantly again through major life transitions. Through my signature program, Reclaim Your Radiance, you'll reclaim your worth, renew your energy, and restore your happiness in your life, career, and relationships. To get started, download your free guidebook, 6 simple yet powerful steps to create your radiant life at radiantlivinginstitute.com. Quick disclaimer before we get started, the information in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Always seek the advice of your own medical practitioner and or mental health provider about your specific situation. Now, let's get started. As I record this episode, we are in the final few days of the year. And so I want to ask you, what are you choosing to focus on right now? I recently wrote about how I love that this time of year invites us to reflect on all that was in the past year and all that's to come in the new year. Well, I've been thinking more about that because I realize that for most of us, this past year has been really hard. And so while I always enjoy the opportunity to reflect, I realize that this is not always an easy process, especially when life throws some really big, unexpected challenges your way. In fact, reflecting on it may be the last thing you want to do. And you know what? To some extent, that is totally okay. I've been watching my share of Netflix specials, taking naps, and doing Sudoku puzzles lately too. And while reflecting on your year can feel hard, I invite you to take a new approach with it. You see, we all have this thing called negativity bias. What that means is that it's really easy to focus on all the things that went quote-unquote wrong this past year. Your mind naturally focuses on the negative because it's perceived as a threat. Your mind's natural protective mechanism is to keep that quote-unquote threat at the forefront so that it doesn't happen again. And while this was a really useful mechanism in the hunter-gatherer days, it doesn't serve us as well in our current day and age. So you have to actually retrain your mind to focus on the positive. Well, how do you do that? One way is to ask yourself questions that prompt you to focus on the positive aspects. And so I want you to grab a pen and paper here and answer these few questions. What is something I can feel proud of myself for this past year? The next question. What is a challenge that I overcame this past year, and in what ways did I grow or improve as a result of that challenge? What are some moments this past year that made me laugh out loud? What are some moments that made me cry tears of tender joy? Now, as you answer these questions, I want you to notice how you feel as you bring up these memories. In fact, this is the first step of my New Year's visioning process, to reflect on your past year as a way to build positive momentum as you create your plan for the upcoming year. Every year, I hold a New Year's workshop to guide you through my process step by step of creating your radiant new year. Registration is now open. I'll include the link in the show notes. But in the meantime, I would love to hear from you. I would love for you to send me a message with your answers to these questions and insight about how you felt as you went through this process. Visit radiantlivinginstitute.com and use the contact form to send me a message. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a positive review, and share this episode with someone you know. And remember, your free guide, 6 simple yet powerful steps to create your radiant life, is waiting for you at radiantlivinginstitute.com. Download it today.